Hi, I'm Carrie Hennessy, and welcome back to The Dirt. Spring has finally arrived to southeastern Wisconsin. Know how I can tell? The crabapple trees are in bloom and the smell is intoxicating. At least once a week I talk to a client who is looking for a flowering ornamental tree for their yard, but they follow the request with, "I don't want a crabapple." To which I say, why not? The reasons they usually give are that the fruit is too messy, they're prone to disease, they're boring when not in flower, or they just don't have space for one in their yard. Oh, really? Follow me today as I dispel these common myths. One of the complaints about crabapples is that they're prone to disease. True, some of the older varieties are susceptible to scab and blight, but many of today's newer improved varieties have excellent resistance. One such example is Adirondak Crabapple with its beautiful white flowers. Its narrow upright habit makes it good for tight spaces, especially if you're looking for a specimen to soften the corner of your house. It only gets about 12 feet wide. Plus, it has lovely bright red fruit that will stay on through the winter. Another disease-resistant option is Coralburst Crabapple. The bright coral buds open to clear pink flowers. Myth number 2 is the messy fruit that comes with a crabapple. If you dislike the fruit, Coralburst Crabapple has very tiny bronze fruit and not much at that. But I also love Coralburst Crabapple for its unusual branching structure, especially in winter. You can find it in either a single stem or a multi-stem form. If you still want an option that doesn't have any fruit, try Spring Snow Crabapple. The scent is incredible and the tree is nearly sterile, producing no fruit. Perfect for next to a patio or a sidewalk. If you think crabapples are boring outside of spring, let me dispel myth number 3. Royal Raindrops Crabapple has cut-leaf foliage that emerges purple and vivid magenta flowers. Often the leaves will change to a maroon and orange in the fall, but my favorite part of this tree is the pinkish red bark that really stands out against a snowy backdrop in winter. Now perhaps you have need of a tree to act as a screen to block nosy neighbors or a busy street along your property. Multi-stem forms of crabapple mixed with evergreens are a great way to build privacy and enhance the landscape at the same time. Perhaps the upright narrow form of Sentinel Crabapple would work best for you. But then there's also the more rounded option of Adam's Crabapple, boasting pinkish red blooms. Donald Wyman has single white flowers before becoming covered with lustrous dark green foliage. Attractive branching habits and persistent bright fruit of all 3 of these varieties will add flair to the landscape even without leaves in winter. If you're an avid bird watcher, certain crabapple varieties are excellent for providing food during the winter months. But not all crabapple fruit is going to be good for this purpose because it doesn't always soften up enough for the birds to eat. White Crabapple is a very good choice because it has abundant yellow fruit to lure the songbirds to the yard, plus very good scab resistance. Here comes myth number 4. If you have a smaller yard and just don't have room for a crabapple that averages around 15 or 20 feet tall, there are plenty of options for you to choose from. Tina Crabapple has always been a popular choice, whether in a single stem or multi-stem form. Some other dwarf varieties you may not have heard of are Guinevere, Pink Princess, Royal Gem, and Lollipop. These dwarf varieties are perfect for an area inside a sidewalk or the corner of a small island bed in a tiny city lot. But without a doubt, our favorite dwarf tree at Johnson's Nursery is Firebird Crabapple. It was selected by head propagator Mike Yanni. This is a tree that just outshines the other varieties. Firebird is incredibly disease resistant and covered with fragrant white flowers every spring and tiny red fruit all winter. The fruit stays very hard, so this is one the birds leave alone, but because the crabapples are so tiny, when they eventually fall, you hardly even notice it. I hope this episode dispels any of those myths you've heard about crabapples. They are loaded with 4 seasons of interest, and there's sure to be a variety that fits in your yard beautifully. They have great vigor and vitality, even in relatively poor soil. Just give them lots of sunshine and enjoy. Thanks for watching. I'm Carrie Hennessy. Tune in next time to get the latest dirt.